All right, so Comp.7 8, here is what we're doing today. So your plan book should have revised chapter 8 mastery in there, and that's going to be if necessary. But what we're going to do together in class is do some self-grading, which goes a step further from our introspective, kind of giving yourself a progressing or mastery after I've given you the grading. So the only thing you should be writing on today is your graph paper. And let me explain what we're going to be doing. So head your graph paper with chapter 8 mastery feedback. And if you want to really clarify it, you can put self. And put a name on there, just for safety's sake, because people keep losing things. And a date would be helpful. It is the 7th. 12/7/18. Number this. Well, actually, don't go ahead and number the whole thing because then we might run out of space, and that wouldn't be good. But we're going to go all the way through 14. So we are going to go through this and kind of talk through the answers. If you got it right on this paper, like say we talk about 1 and everything you had is great and right and good, you would just put a check mark. Yeah. Right now, you can't do that yet because you don't know if you got it right or not. But then, if you did not get it right, I want to know what happened. So, if you didn't get it right, I want a response of, I had the range wrong because whatever. What I should have done is, or like correct, colon, and then show the right way. So, like, what happened, and then correct it. Savannah?
What if you just didn't get that problem yet?
Then that can be what you could put, like, this was an F or whatever. Like, if it's in order, you can just say, like, I had only made it this far. And I think you missed out on a day that we were working on this. Okay, you were here about those days?
Yeah, I just didn't finish it.
Okay. And you could just write that, like, I just didn't get to this the first time. And really, this should matter to you. Like, honestly, I was reading an article the other night that was pretty funny. It was like, what are teachers good for anyways? Like, you should care because it's your learning, right? I don't really care. I'm just here to provide feedback and help clarify when you need help. This is your learning experience. So if we look at number 1, so I'm going to have the PDF of the test up here. So you should be looking at your test, but like I'm going to be working through here. You should be looking at your test, but writing on your graph paper. Now you can like circle numbers on your test or put checks next to numbers on your test, but I don't want to see any like changing of answers or adding answers to your test. Like I just want to know what did you do time 1, and then what did you do time 2. Okay, so this is going to be a tight quarter 2 grade because I need these back on Monday. And then like I'll turn it around on hopefully on Monday I can get it like right back to you guys by AO or extensions or something. I'll document what you do. Like you're gonna end up giving yourself a grade of like I would have had blank. Now I have what like so after you revise it, hopefully you can say now I mastered, now I get it. But if you still don't understand something, we should address that. Right? So don't give yourself a mastery if you still don't understand something. When we look at this stem and leaf plot, we talk about how many temperatures are less than the mean. Anyone able to tell me what you found out was the mean here? You averaged them all up. Mallory, what'd you get?
64.1.
Verification?
I didn't write down. I thought the mean was 32%.
So, but this is reminding you what a stem and leaf plot does. That the number on the left is the tens place, the number on the right is the ones place for this stem and leaf. No. So if we write out all these numbers, I have 32, 45, 45, 53, 67, 78, 78, 89, 90. Right, so we would put all these in our calculator, sum it, add it up. Can I get verification on Mallory said the mean is 64.1 and you're verifying, Caitlin? So 64.1. So I know the answer from the key. There are 4 numbers less than the mean because the mean would fall right in here. Technically right here before the 67, so just those 4 are less than it. The range is going from 32 up to 90, so how big is the range? 58. And the box and whisker, I added that onto our test. Like that was a me request. And guys, you can make it as easy as you want or as nice as you want. Some of you drew like a really nice number line and it was spaced out correctly. And some of you just did it real simply. My bottom one, 32. My top one, 90. Now, if I have a number line to put this on, it's going to clean up my box and whisker, but I'm not even being that particular this time. If you have the numbers right, that's all I care about. What is quartile 1 value? Actually, first, how many data points do I have?
9.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Do I have a middle point of 9? Yes. So my median is what? 67. Then, though, my bottom quartile would be 32, and this is where people, I'm sure, will make mistakes, at least in the upper quartile. What's the lower quartile? 45, but it's actually right here, right? It's between those two 45s. So this is 45, my median, 67, and then quartile 78, 78, then 89. Crap, this is where people are going to make mistakes. What's quartile 3? Ooh. What number is smack dab between 78 and 89? One way we can do this easily with the calculator, average them. So who's got a calculator out? I see one with Caitlin's desk. 78 plus 89, divide by 2. If you're not quite sure on what numbers directly between them, add them, divide by 2. Sorry that this one's in red. My pen just changed color on its own because I set it down for a second. So it's not in red for any specific reason. 83.5. So your box and whisker plot might be a lot cleaner than mine, but that's all that I care about. The min, the max, quartile 1, median, and quartile 2. Or 3.
Wait, what do we do if we got something wrong again?
So you write on the paper like why you think you got it wrong. Like, oh, if you right now are having that realization of, oh crap, I didn't find the number between these two. I accidentally used 89 or if you were off by like a half, maybe you just counted wrong. Yeah. You could just say I counted to the middle wrong.
Okay, so we just put why we got it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we know the right answer now, right? So write the right answer there. Really, you should not, hopefully, go home with very much homework. I'm hoping we get through most of this today. But if we don't, I'm going to go through and just tell you guys the answers at the end of class, and then you'll be able to give yourself a feedback of was it right or wrong.
I didn't know what a range was.
Yep, range is from the lowest to the highest.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch that to smart. So I'm going to drag my smart up there. So check out number 2. We should have a stem and leaf plot. So actually, I'm just probably going to pull the key on this one.
We're pulling the key.
No, quit opening the same. Okay, I'll leave that there and I'll just go there another way. So here's what your first quarter stem and leaf plot should look like. Your second quarter stem and leaf plot. The first quarter average, actually, the mean is the same as the median. So for A, your mean and your median are both 81. For the second quarter, your mean is 87.88. That's fine. If you round it up to 88, that's okay. And your median is 86.5. So which quarter did you do better? Should be pretty obvious. You did better in the second quarter. Did better in the second quarter.
Wait, what did you say the mean was?
The mean was approximately 88 for quarter 2. 87.8. 87.9. Why what? So the mean and the median are our measures of center, and they're the two different choices for essentially summarizing data. So anyone ever watch Bar Rescue? Probably not. Your kids. Yeah. So they will go into a town and they will say the median income in this town, and you can look up like the median income in Franklin County or whatever. That's the middle that a person makes. So 50% of the population make more than you. 50% of the population make less than you. What number's smack dab in the middle? Who, like, what is that salary? And that's kind of how you can gauge the economic kind of like level of that area. If a median income is in like the $100 and some thousand, like that's really high. If the median income is only like $30,000, that's pretty low. So like that's how you can kind of gauge like a town's economic situation in a way.
What if you only put the mean down and not the median?
Then you didn't get it right. I mean, it asked you find the mean and median for the first 2 quarters. So you would like your revision would need to be finding the medians, right? Because you just didn't do that the first time.
Hey George, welcome back.
Welcome back. And moving on to number 3. Trudy has been training for an upcoming marathon. She keeps track of how many miles she runs each day. Kudos to Trudy for running. I don't run.
And I ran very far away.
Sorry, I'm going to get these papers back to these guys and get them caught up.
I gotta go on my finder. I'm guessing Lizzie's probably gonna do something.
Aaron.
Lizzie's not here today.
Oh, wait.
Hi, Lizzie. Oh, hi, Lizzie. Feel better.
Hi, Lizzie. Feel better or enjoy your day off if you decided to play hooky. What? I mean, occasionally.
What is cookies?
It's when you like skip something without a valid excuse.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, so friends, you just got back here, and we're gonna have to catch up George because I don't know where he went. And where are you guys going?
There were these 3 people here. I don't know why they were here. We gave them scores.
No, I know what you were doing, but sorry, I thought you were leaving. Like you were getting your stuff and leaving.
No.
Okay, so let's talk about number 3. The mean of this data. Anyone confident in their value?
I'm confident.
Braylon, give it a shot.
No, 14. No. Oh wait, 13.
13.79. You can round to 13.8, but we at least want to keep the tens place. Like, don't round all numbers all the time. Like, try to get used to keeping 2 decimal places. That'll normally be safe. All right, now that George is back and Octavia's still out, I'll explain what we're doing here in just a second. You guys are checking your own test, so you need a piece of graph paper out, and I'll show you in just a second what header to put on it. All right, now that we're all back here, here's what we're doing. Summary for those of you that were giving tours, thank you for going the extra mile. We are self-grading because I graded 50 tests last night, but didn't get to yours. Sorry, that's just how the cookie crumbled. So on a piece of graph paper, you right now are either putting a check if you got the question right, or if you got it wrong, explaining what you did or didn't do and what the revision would need to be. So on your graph paper, head it with Chapter 8 Mastery Feedback. You're giving yourself feedback, right? So my end goal would be when we finish a test, you walk up and you're like, I'm done. And I'm like, here's the answers. Go check it. And you would immediately know what questions you got right or wrong. And then anything you got wrong, that should motivate you for like, wait, why? Like, right, why did I get this wrong? If I'm like tuned in and trying to actually get things right, why did I get this wrong? Figure that out in that moment. Like that should be how we work. So I'm trying to push towards that. Quinn?
Would 13.92 be wrong as the mean? I got 13.92.
It's 13.79, so you must have typed something in wrong somewhere.
Wait, did you say we could like round it down to 13.7?
Yeah, I mean, the 7.9 on here, the 7.9 I'm sure is rounded at the hundredths place. So if you have 13.7 something, that should be fine.
13.785.
Yeah. So 8.5, the 5 rounds the 8 up to a 9. That's why they have 7.9 on the key. Yeah, that's okay. Try, like, in the future, try to get used to just doing 2 decimal places. Just keep the 2. Brady? Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that we for sure just cover all the answers, even if we don't do solutions. Make sure we cover all the answers.
Wait, which one are we on right now?
3. Sorry. This one right here. Trudy's been training, right? So the mean was 13.7, whatever you got. 7.8, 7.9, whatever. The median Yeah, 14.5. If I put these all in order, my median ends up being between a 14 and a 15, so we take the average, and it's 14.5. Trudy's coach says that he should be able to choose any day at random for at least 2 weeks, and Trudy should have more than 13 miles. What is the probability her coach chooses a day from this list that is more than 13 miles? Anyone confident? Braden?
4 out of 7.
Yeah, if it's unreduced, it's 8 out of 14, so that would be fine, or it should be 4 out of 7. Go back and recount. You maybe didn't write down all your... So, Connor, my first question would be, did you write down all these numbers in order, like on a page of work or on your test page somewhere? If not, but we're asking how many are more than 13. That's just a physical counting.
Oh, how many are more than? I didn't know how many were less than.
Ah, careful reading. Dude, that's gotten you twice already this test.
No, for like, because like explain, for the explain part.
Okay. I mean, yeah, so we could say, like, the not chance would then be 3/7 that he chooses one that's not what they want, but we're being asked, what is the chance it's more than 13? Olivia, did you have a question? And then when I asked what data measure should she tell her coach, would you want the lower or the higher? The higher. So tell your coach the median because that's a better one. So that's the difference between mean and median. They both communicate central tendency of data. That's why they're called a measure of central tendency. Central tendency just means if I just look at like kind of the middle, but they're not always going to be the same. And if we want to communicate a higher, like, start listening critically to TV ads and different things like that, and like you'll start to pick these things out when they talk about average versus when they talk about median. Octavia, did you have a question?
Oh yeah, for A on that median thing.
Yeah.
I got 13.78.
That's fine. It was 13.785. The 5 would round the 8 up, but it's okay if you had 13.78. That's so technically, if you want to know the difference, that's the difference between truncation or truncating, which is just cut off your number, versus rounding actually looks at the next number. For draw a picture of the angle, you just got to grade yourself. Acute needs to be less than 90. Right? Right needs to be a perfect corner. Obtuse needs to be between 90 and 180. And straight, now there is something particular that I want from your straight angle. In your right angle, you should have the box, or if not, add it. I wouldn't count it wrong. I would not count it wrong. But you want to have the box to show that it is a right angle. Otherwise, you don't know that it's right. It could be 89 degrees and just look like it's right. Obtuse angle, something big. And then straight angle, what I'm looking for is a dot in the middle and the arc opening up 180 degrees. So you actually see that we're looking at an angle. Either. So unless you got one of those like wrong, like you switched up acute and obtuse, you're probably fine. Unless you got one of those like actually wrong. Now, this is going to render, like I had to move some images around, so when this saved as a PDF, it's probably a little bit different than what you have. Wow, that's loud. So when we look at Patricia, that's this image, right? And then like this just kind of looks a little weird spacing-wise. So I'm going to turn this down. Is Patricia correct in measuring her angle to be 50 degrees? No. Who wants to talk about why? We've already talked. Peyton, why?
For one, it's an obtuse angle, and an acute angle, it's actually 50 degrees to an acute angle.
Yeah.
She did the measuring of when to do the line up with the zero. She went on the wrong set of numbers.
Ooh, now for 8,624 bonus points. If you ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyways, the points don't matter, so he just makes up random numbers. Who remembers the rule about the two numbers our line passes through? Quinn?
If the line to the left passes if the line right there passes through the left. Wait.
Okay, yeah, like this is, our angle line.
Yeah, if that's the angle line, then you're using the outside number. Well, I can't see that.
Yeah, outside numbers, because the zeros. But who can remember, like, the rule that we talked about with these two numbers? They all add up to 1. Sorry, I had a couple people with hands up and a couple people just talking. So these are always going to add up to 180. So if it's not 50, what we're looking for then is the supplement, right? Just trying to pepper in that vocabulary. So what is that angle actually? 130 degrees. Please get in the habit of, if we're talking angles, you have to have a degree symbol or it doesn't mean anything. You could be talking about pizzas for all I know.
$1 million.
Did she raise chickens?
No, like.
I would totally raise
She would
chickens.
always call us, like, a little cherub, and then, like, she would say.
You know, cherub just means like angel,
Yeah,
right?
cherub. But she called us her little half cherub. And either way, like, whenever we would act crazy, or, like, you know, second period's the hot mess, so we would be like, they were acting as if they were chickens with their heads cut off.
Oh, okay.
Like, they acted like crazy.
Okay, so this doesn't make sense if you're not from the country. Okay,
Yeah,
this is gonna be a bit gross for a minute.
She grew up in a dairy farm.
Depending on how you do it, if you just literally grab a live chicken, run around out of the yard, and cut its head off,
I've seen
it because muscle spasm and nerve will continue to run around for a little bit. So normally the humane way is you first do something that won't happen. Right. This went into a lesson on farming, but that's where that expression comes from of like a chicken with its head cut off. You're running around like crazy, like you don't have you can't see what you're doing. What relationship? I should use cards. In A, Jessica, what relationship do we see to help us solve for the unknown in A here? What are these two angles called? Or what would they add up to? 180. What's that called? Supplementary. So this angle is a size of 156 degrees. Now, listen carefully. Caitlin, do you know what relationship exists between the 57 degree and the Y angle? Remember what that's called? I'm just trying to see if we remember these vocab words. That wasn't part of the test, but here's one way you can remember it. There's a V up here. There's a V down here. What are they called? Vertical angles. So what should be the size of Y? Also 57 degrees. So then what should be the size of X? 123 degrees. Check that you put your degree symbols on all of those. Technically, here come January, February, I'm going to start to mark those wrong. And really, I'll probably put a question mark on it and put dogs, cats, pizza, but I get tired of writing that. So that's normally my response. When people don't have a label, my normal response is dogs, cats, pizzas, question mark. What are you talking about here? What do we have 123 of? Chickens. So, now this was difficult, so I'm going to show the whole solution here. The first thing you should have had, and if you don't have this work, you should kind of judge yourself for not showing work. 9A equals 180. Then to get A, what do we do?
Divide by 9.
Yes. A comes out to be
20.
which means this is
1 degree. And the other one's
now. I had a couple people come up to me and say, "But Mr. Hudson, this doesn't look like it would be 80 degrees." I know. It doesn't matter. So, if you're an architect drawing an official plan, that matters. Here, doesn't matter. Trust the math, not what it looks like. So if you want some other verification, what would 5A be? 100, and the math works out that has to be true. It doesn't matter what it looks like. That's true. So then what's the size of X?
100.
100. So you should have on your paper the work to support how you found A and the fact that X is 100. Again, protractors would serve you no good here. What was that, Brandon?
Think about it.
No? You sure? Again, spacing issues, I think. What relationship do we have for these two angles? An 8. Check your work. If you don't have work for this, I guarantee your answer's wrong. Sorry. But if you don't have any work for 8, I guarantee you did not get it right. Quinn?
3x minus 10 equals 2x plus 30.
They're equal, right? They're vertical, so they're equal. Before we dive in, I'll just straight up tell you, X is 40 degrees.
Yeah. I got it right.
So you should have, so put a check on your paper if you got that right. Your work, and if you got this wrong, you want to write out these revisions. Your work should start with the expressions, because they are angles, but they're expressions for the angles equal to each other. Now be careful, some of us still need some good practice on inverse operations. We might on Monday just do a big worksheet with solving equations. Because once you get like in the habit, it's real fast. Like your brain can get really good at this, but it comes from practice. So guys, I know there's a few of you in here that got behind on practice work this quarter for whatever reason, like mostly valid reasons, but it comes down to how much have you practiced it. I'm not any better at math than you. Like when I was 12, I wasn't any better at math than you are. I've just practiced it a ton. That's all it comes down to. So if I add 10, I would add 10 here. And I like that because I like positive constant values. This gets 0. So then my left side is only the 3x equals 2x plus 40. How do I get rid of that 2x? Subtract it. Be careful. We can't divide until we put the x's together. So then we get 1x equals, well, just 40. And we're good. Now, if it asked us to find the measure of the angle, which some people might have done, we could plug it back in. What's 2 times 40?
That's 80.
Plus 30?
110.
110. And one of you came up to me, and you're like, Mr. Hudson, there's no way that that angle is 110. And I was like, quit caring what it looks like. I forget exactly what I said, but like, yes, there is. Mathematically, it has to be 110. Which, yeah, it's going to break our brain to say this, but this angle is 70. Like, so, trust, and I'm going to say this a lot, trust the math, not what it looks like.
Don't trust your eyes.
Connor.
I was able to somehow find out what that the 70 angle was.
Like you did the work?
I mixed the minus 10 with plus 10. I just used the 5D progress and I got 70.
The 5D process will, I mean, it'll take more time, but it will work. And because like 40 is a nice number, like we can try. So a way we could do the 5D process is plug in stuff for x until they equal each other. Like keep trying to plug in stuff for x until the two angles are equal. If you got that wrong, please make sure that you've at least noted that x is 40. I'm really quickly going to run through the rest of the answers and then take specific questions on things that are seeming challenging for you because we only have until 38 in this class. We've got about 12 minutes left. But I want to take specific questions. So in 9, you just got to check your own. There's honestly infinitely many answers to 9. Now, not all of them are right, obviously. So check. Do you have an obtuse angle? And did you notate two sides being the same length? Yes. So, like, this is something that you have to notate one way or the other. You have the option of notating like this. That means same length. And then we can connect a triangle, and I've got my obtuse angle. Or if you wrote out like 3 inches, 3 inches, like you don't have to show the congruent marks if you write the lengths out there, right? Triangle with an obtuse angle on 2 sides the same length, boom, good, got it. Triangle with only acute angles and no sides the same length, make a weird scalene triangle, right? Little line, acute angle and make sure I can get like an acute angle there. So as long as that's acute, like whatever, and make sure they're not the same lengths. C is impossible.
Yes, that's what I
Because if I have a length of like 3 inches and a length of 3 inches, if you walk, just think about this, like realistically. If you walk 3 blocks this way, 3 blocks that way, the distance from here to here is more than 3 blocks. However, it's less than 6. So that, because, now, this comes down to a standard rule of like math. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. We can't always walk a straight line, but the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So this is going to be longer than this, and also the triangle inequality rule, right?
Yeah.
And I have to be less than the sum here. So this might, well, it won't be 5.9 because it's a right triangle. We could figure out what this would be, but it's got to be less than 6 because it wouldn't make sense to be more than 6. It would not make a triangle. So you just got to check 9 on your own. In 10, which triangle has a right angle or appears to? Number 3. A should be triangle number 3. B, obtuse angle.
4.
Triangle number 4. And C, what does it mean to be equilateral? Braylon? They're all the same. Like, so which one did you say, Braylon? Number 1. C is number 1. Some of us had struggles on 11, but then I think we got it sorted out. The combined perimeter of our triangle, 8x plus 18.
Yes.
8x plus 18. Now, 12, I'm worried, like, well, I'm not worried. 12, some of us probably got 12 wrong. And that's okay. But, like, some of us probably got 12 wrong. Now, advice. Graphs have certain rules, but every rule can be broken. There's a rule about breaking graphs. So I'm going to make my x-axis time, and time starts at 0. Now the origin point has to be 0, 0 technically, but if I start at 0 degrees and I want to graph up to 88 degrees, that's ridiculous. So instead, put a little Harry Potter lightning bolt, and that breaks our graph, and then we can start at whatever number you want. So then we can start at, like, I don't know, 74 and go up by whatever we want. So if I go 74 and then, I don't know, I'll go by 4s, 78, 82, 86, 90. These should be evenly spaced, but you have graph paper. I don't. Then I should start at 88 degrees on the y-axis. So check, did you start at 88 degrees on the y-axis at time 0?
Yeah.
I didn't make a graph.
Then, well, it says make a graph. Well, use a, okay, so you could have made a table. A table would work as well, or if your diagram really works. But if you went to make a graph, and I just wanted to make sure we show how to, look.
I did the opposite way.
Let me check yours later. So this will start going down.
Yeah.
And at some point, what do we want to get to? 76.
Finally.
And we should be able to say, okay, after an hour, so if this traces down,
Okay, I know.
this would be like 87.7. Right, now this will take forever. So we could also write an equation. If this was me, I'd go the equation route. So the equation would be temp is 88 plus a negative 0.3 m if I use variables that I want to make sense. So the temperature, another way I can write that, is decreasing by 0.3 of a degree each minute. And it is starting at 88. Then, I'm going to come to you, Gwendolyn. I can replace T with what I want. What temp do I want? 76. And then I can solve this. Your answer should be, how many minutes? 40. Should be 40 minutes.
Oh, I
Braille.
got the right answer, and I made a graph, but my graph is
I'm
back.
coming to like temp is on the x-axis.
Yeah,
That would technically be wrong.
yeah, no, I went from 76 to 88. So is that, did I just remake my graph?
Yeah, I mean, you just did it the wrong way. So, yeah, I mean, you can just remake your graph. But if we start at 88 and are going down, my line needs to be going down. Sorry, Gwendolyn, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Can I just add the Harry Potter lightning bolt?
Yeah. So if you did, like, and this isn't something we really talked explicitly about, but that's how you break your graph. Harry Potter lightning bolt. No joke. That's the technical symbol for a broken graph is like zigzag zig. And then you keep going. Because, yeah, it's like we snapped it. We broke it. Quinn?
So we can't simply make our x 10 increments of 10.
You could. What was, so if you were to diagram that, what are you saying? Why are you making x increments of 10?
Because that would be easier to work with.
Why? Keep going. I agree with you, but
Then
why?
we wouldn't have to make like a little sliver all the way down instead of.
If I do minutes as my input, right, how much time has passed? We start at 0, and temp as my output. So here's another way we can diagram it. So Quinn said if I work in increments of 10s, how many degrees did we go down? 3, so now I'm at 85. If I do 20, it's like this would also be fine. I'm now at 82.
I just read my graph wrong because my graph says
Sorry, that's a 9.
my graph says that 76 is at 30.
40. Connor, and then I gotta keep moving.
I just did 80 minus 26, so it went down by 12.
And then you divide it by the 0.3. That works also. You're fine. If you're curious about right wrong, see me at AO. If you got the right answer and your math makes sense, I'd probably give it to you. Like, I'm not that critical of a grader. Normally, you guys are actually more critical. Really, real quick, and then I got to give the rest of the answers.
Wait, what was the equation again for it?
There's many that you could use, but really, if you want the way that we should write it mathematically correct would be the temp equals negative 0.3 m, like down 3 degrees every minute, plus 88. Or you could have 88 first, minus 0.3 m. All right, in 13, A, G equals negative 9. Negative 9. Watch your signs. A lot of us get goofed with those signs. And B, H equals negative 1. Be careful with your signs. C, F equals negative 6. So, yo, 13. I'm only reading it one more time. It was negative 9, negative 1, negative 6. Then 14, where some of you, I think, started cursing my name. If I wake up with a second head, I'll just know that it was somebody's actually Wiccan in here.
Really?
I put 0.
Oh, you're evil, Miss. Oh my God.
I'm not evil. I've tried. It didn't work. When in B, when we distribute, we get 2x minus 6 equals 2x minus 6. And if you start to test things, anything makes this true. Literally anything. I can plug in purple and it makes this true. 2 purple minus 6, and no, I'm joking, but for like any number makes this true. When in C we distribute, so different color, because I'm doing C now, we get 3x minus 20 plus 4x equals 7x plus 2. We then get 7x minus 20 equals 7x plus 2, which is impossible. I cannot have some value minus 20 and say that's equal to the same value add a 2. It doesn't work. So this was an extension problem. Part C, really I could have made that an example. We haven't really talked about that, so don't worry about if you miss C. That's fine. But for your understanding as we move forward, this creates a conflict. This is a mathematical impossibility. I can't say George plus 3 years is equal to George minus 2 years. Those are different Georges. Right? It doesn't make sense. Gwendolyn?
Do we grade ourselves now?
Yep.
Do we turn this in along with
Can I play the pencil?
So, by Monday, if you can turn it in today, sweet. By Monday, I need your assessment with that graph paper stapled on top. Okay, that assessment with that graph paper stapled on top. If you have revisions you need to make still, or work you still need to do, take care of that. And remember, your homework was due yesterday, but I had no chance to grade it. So if you haven't turned it in, turn it in today. We're out of time. Octavia, what's your question? But we gotta go. Oh, yeah, if you got here late. 1A was 4. 1B was 58. And then in 2, here. And this was 2. Yeah, and sometimes that's the reasoning behind it, is I just made a silly mistake. Yo. Which one? Because negative 4 times negative x, the sign in front of the number has to go with it.